Hey everyone. I know you're all super busy, and sometimes it feels like there's just not enough time to do everything you want to do,
Right.
especially when it comes to learning something new,
Yeah.
like English. But you're here, which means
Yeah.
you're ready to make it happen. And today,
Absolutely.
we're diving into how to make that possible,
Yeah,
even when you're feeling like you're constantly racing against the clock.
for sure.
We've got this great article by bro Damien, who's
Yeah.
an English confidence coach,
Oh, cool.
called 5 Tips on How to Study English When You Don't Have Time.
I like it already.
And we're going to pull out some seriously actionable tips from it so you can start making real progress,
Awesome.
even with a jam-packed schedule.
This whole idea of not having enough time is really interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's often less about like a true lack of time
Right?
and more about how we choose to prioritize the 24 hours we all get.
So true. Sometimes I look back on my day and wonder where all the time went.
Oh.
And then I realize I spent like an hour just scrolling on social media.
Yeah.
Definitely guilty of not always prioritizing the things I want to do.
Well, that's where Bro Damien's first tip comes in. Make English a priority.
Okay.
And he emphasizes the importance of connecting your English learning to your why.
Your why.
Like, why is this important to you? What are you hoping to get out of it?
He even uses this analogy of a to-do list, where you write down practice English right next to all your other must-do tasks.
Okay.
It's like you're putting it on the same level as all those things you absolutely can't skip.
I like that. And that's actually where I think the power of frameworks like the Eisenhower Matrix comes in.
Ooh, tell me more about that.
You know that tool where you categorize tasks by urgency and importance?
Oh, yeah.
So by putting English in that important but not urgent quadrant,
Okay.
you're acknowledging that it's crucial for your long-term goals.
Gotcha.
And it deserves dedicated time, even though it doesn't have an immediate deadline.
Right. That makes total sense. But even when we know something is important, let's be real, procrastination
Oh, yeah.
can still sneak in.
For sure.
I know I've definitely been there putting off studying when I could be binging the latest show.
Oh, absolutely. Procrastination is like a universal struggle.
It really is.
But the key here, as Bro Damien points out in his kick and tip,
Okay.
is to shift from finding time, making time.
Okay.
And a big part of that is getting rid of those excuses we tend to make.
I think that's honestly where I struggle the most.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I tell myself I'm too tired or I'll just do it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, if it were something I was really excited about,
Yeah.
I'd probably find a way to make time.
Exactly. And that takes us to Bro Damien's next tip.
Okay.
Turn English into something you want to do.
Love that.
It's about finding ways to actually enjoy the learning process.
Right.
So you look forward to it.
Instead of dreading it.
Totally.
And this is where I think it gets really fun.
Oh, yeah.
It's not about forcing yourself to study from a textbook
Yeah.
if that makes you want to just fall asleep.
There you go.
It's about figuring out how to make English a part of the things you already love doing.
Totally. Bro Damien gives some great examples in this article,
Like what?
like playing video games in English,
Oh, that's good.
watching movies with English subtitles,
Bruh.
listening to English music, or even podcasts.
So it's like,
Things you might already be doing in your free time.
instead of thinking of English practice as this, like, chore you have to do,
Yeah.
it becomes something you're actually excited about.
Right.
It's not just learning the language.
Exactly.
It's like immersing yourself in a new culture,
For sure.
exploring different kinds of entertainment,
Yeah.
maybe even discovering new hobbies.
And that ties right back to what we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
Making English a priority.
Okay.
When something is fun and engaging,
Yeah,
you're way more likely to keep doing it,
makes sense.
even when life gets super busy.
So we've covered the mindset part, making it a priority,
Yeah.
finding ways to actually enjoy it.
Okay.
But how do we actually find the time to do all of this?
That is the question, isn't it?
It is.
That leads us to Bro Damien's fourth tip.
Okay, what's that?
Schedule English like a boss.
I love it.
He talks about something called the 15-minute challenge,
Okay.
which is all about finding those little hidden pockets of time in your week.
Oh, so you don't need to find like a whole hour every day.
No, not at all.
Just those smaller chunks.
It's all about looking at your schedule and thinking outside the box.
Like how?
Maybe it's 15 minutes while you're commuting.
Uh-huh.
Maybe when you're waiting for an appointment.
Right.
Or even when you're doing chores around the house.
Okay, so then you actually schedule those English times.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like you would an important meeting.
Oh, I like that. And maybe even set reminders on your phone.
That's a great idea.
So you don't accidentally double book yourself. You have to treat those English sessions like they're set in stone.
It's about being proactive
Oh.
and really intentional with your time.
So thinking about that 15-minute challenge.
Yeah.
Where do you think you could maybe fit in some English practice?
Oh, that's a good question for you, too.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Well, my commute would be perfect for that.
Oh, yeah, why?
Well, I usually just listen to music on the train, but I could easily switch to an English podcast.
Oh, that's perfect.
Or an audiobook.
Absolutely. And what about those times when you're waiting in line at the store?
Oh, yeah.
Or you're waiting for a friend to show up?
You're so right. I usually just end up scrolling through social media.
Those are like wasted moments.
They are.
That you could be using for something productive.
I could totally have some flashcards on my phone and do a quick review.
It's about reframing those little moments into opportunities.
And speaking of being prepared,
yes,
that takes us to Bro Damien's last tip. Be prepared with the right materials.
It's so important.
Yeah, it's all about not having that feeling of like,
oh,
where do I even start?
When you do finally have a few minutes.
Because you already scheduled the time.
Exactly.
Now you got to have everything you need.
So there's no excuse.
No excuses.
What are your learning goals?
Okay.
And what resources would work best for you?
If you're trying to learn more vocabulary, maybe a flashcard app on your phone would be the way to go.
Totally. Or if you want to get better at listening, have a podcast all queued up and ready.
Bro Damien actually mentions his own conversation club in the article.
Oh, right.
And the English Across the Pond podcast.
I think the bigger point here is to be prepared.
Okay.
Have those things ready.
So you can just jump right in.
When you get a chance.
This reminds me of when I was trying to learn how to code.
Oh, yeah.
I was so overwhelmed by how much there was to learn.
I bet.
I kept putting it off. But then I started scheduling just 30 minutes every morning and having everything set up the night before.
You were prepared.
Exactly. And that's when I actually started making progress.
I love that story. It's such a good example of how even those small, consistent efforts combined with being prepared can really add up over time.
It's not about being perfect.
No.
It's about showing up and doing the work.
And it doesn't have to be all or nothing either.
Right. Like, even if you can only squeeze in 15 minutes here and there,
Totally.
It all adds up.
It really does. It's like they say,
like what?
Little by little, a little becomes a lot.
I like that.
It's about making English a part of your everyday life.
Okay.
In a way that feels good and natural.
So we've talked about a lot, making English a priority, finding ways to make it fun, scheduling time for it, and being prepared. But these tips all work together, right?
Exactly. They kind of build on each other.
So if you're really enjoying your practice and it's on your schedule, like an important meeting,
you're way less likely to skip it.
Even when you're super busy.
It's like one good habit helps you keep up with the others.
It all comes full circle.
Now, before we finish up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with something to think about.
Okay.
What's one thing you really love doing?
Okay.
That you could maybe start doing in English today?
That's a great question. I love that. So many possibilities. Let's see. I'm a big fan of cooking.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe I could start trying recipes.
I like that.
From like English language cooking blogs or YouTube channels.
That's awesome. You'd be practicing your English, but also like expanding your culinary skills.
Exactly. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Cool.
It doesn't have to be something big either.
Right.
Even just changing the language settings on my phone.
Oh, yeah.
Or my computer.
That's a good one.
Just little things to get more English into my daily routine.
What's cool about those small changes is that they can actually lead to some big breakthroughs.
Like what?
You might start thinking in English more.
Wow.
Or even dreaming in English.
It's like all of those little things add up.
And before you know it, you're way more comfortable with the language.
Exactly.
Right.
And remember, it's like any new skill, there will be bumps in the road.
For sure.
Don't get discouraged.
It's all part of the process.
It's like learning to ride a bike.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to fall a few times
Totally.
Before you can really get going.
The important thing is to keep practicing.
Get back up and try again.
Exactly. And just like with riding a bike, learning English opens up so many possibilities.
It really does. What kinds of things?
Well, you can talk to people from different cultures.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Find new information. Even get a better job.
It's like breaking down all these barriers.
It is. It's super empowering.
You're right.
And remember, you don't have to do this alone.
That's true.
There are tons of resources out there.
Like what?
Well, language partners, online communities, apps, and, of course, podcasts like this one.
Bro Damien also has his conversation club.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Where you can practice talking to other people.
From all over the world.
It's an awesome resource.
So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed by learning English, Just remember, you don't need a ton of time.
Nope.
Just find those little moments in your day.
Exactly.
And make them count.
And most importantly,
what's that?
Have fun.
Yes. The more you enjoy it, the more likely you are to actually stick with it.
And reach your goals.
This has been a great deep dive.
It has.
It's so encouraging to know that anyone can learn English, even super busy people.
You got this.
Thanks for joining us today, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Until next time, happy learning.